As soon as it flushes on.
Yep.
Tell me that.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
We're all good. We're all good? Okay. With that, it is 7:01 and we are going to call
Close it. Got it.
the meeting to order. Robert is virtual and Amanda was unable to attend this evening. We also have Alyssa and Cammie here tonight for the high school students. No, we have
Cammie's here.
Cammie's here. Is Alyssa coming? Don't know. All right. Well, we'll see when we get to that point. At this time, if everyone could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and the flag is right behind you on the wall. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The mission statement: the Viroqua Area School District provides a quality education for all students that inspires continuous learning, positive relationships, curiosity, and compassion in an environment that welcomes diversity while developing respectful and responsible citizens. Committee reports, we don't have any today. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And it was very nice of you all to participate. Thank you. Not quite how we typically do it, but very nice that you're paying attention. The next item is the student board report. And it looks like we have Cammie. And do you mind coming up this way, Cammie? I apologize to put you on the spot all alone, but thank you.
Yep, just this is the mic here, so you're just gonna have to make sure you speak up.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Hi, I'm Cammie. I am the senior class vice president. My future plans are to attend Luther College in Decorah, and I will be pursuing a history major. So far for this month of March, the juniors took the ECT on March 8th. I heard it went well. A lot of tired kids though, from what I saw. Spring sports practices began. Track was supposed to have their meet last Friday, but of course school got out early, so they didn't get to have that. WSMA ensemble is half our group, or our groups went last week and week before, and we had a lot of kids make it on to state from there. A few of our groups, I know both of our band groups made it on, so that's exciting. FFA week activities, a lot of kids dressed up throughout the week. We had a lot of good turnout with the root beer floats. We actually sold out very quickly, so that's very good. And then today we just had our carnival. It went really well also. It worked pretty perfectly. End of the quarter is next Wednesday, I think. Next Wednesday, next Thursday. And then the New York and DC trip leaves the next day on the 31st, and we will be gone for 8 days. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you know how many students are going to?
I think
It's 98.
yeah, 98.
Yeah.
A lot of kids.
That's fantastic. And I know it had to be pushed back a year or two. I don't remember. So just 1 year. So that's very exciting. Do you know any of the highlights of things you're going to do when you're traveling?
I know we're going to see a lot of history museums. So we're going to see the World War II museum, or World War I museum. We're going on, I think, a ship. I think we're performing on the carrier ship. And then we're going to a cathedral, seeing all parts of New York. We're going to Manhattan. We're going to a bunch of different.
That'll be great. You have the buddy system?
Two Broadway shows, yeah.
Oh, which shows? Do you know?
Wicked and Lion King.
Oh, how fun. Do you need chaperones? Or is that ship sailed already.
The chaperone meeting already occurred.
Well, thank you very much. And I hope our students had a good experience with the ACT as well. So thank you. The next item is Spotlight on Education. We have third grade Inventions. The students tonight are Grayson, Avery, Trista, and Graham. And we're very excited to have you here. And we have Kelly, Caitlin, and Brannigan, who are going to, I'm assuming, introduce our students and tell us a little bit about the Invention Fair. Who would like to begin?
Yeah.
We're putting you on the spotlight.
Yeah.
If you don't, oh, you're going to move them over there? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
We're good here?
Yes.
All right. In third grade, we do the Invention Fair unit. We started our unit with a research project. Does anybody remember that? Yeah. So they got to pick an inventor of their choice. We did have a list to choose from just so we made sure that we had enough reliable resources for them to get information. They then completed that. And then we found or had them brainstorm different problems that they have. They might be at school or at home. And then they also came up with some ideas of how to fix those problems. So from there, they then got to choose an invention. Everyone had to create a poster and then present that to their classmates. And then if they chose to, they could actually create their invention. And we had quite a few students that did that. Not everybody wanted to create their invention, and some of them were a little wild, so they couldn't be created in reality. But then the students that did create their invention did so, and then we chose students who then presented in front of former teachers, Mrs. Crew and Miss Laps. So they were great judges for us. They had a really hard time. They said that the students did a great job. So they narrowed it down to for us, one student from each third grade classroom. And that's these lovely 4 children here. And then they got to present their invention at the regional invention fair, which got pushed back, but it happened on March 3rd. So they did that virtually, which is still kind of a bummer, more fun to actually go, but I think they enjoyed it and had a good time doing it. So, and they're here tonight to share their inventions with you. So who's gonna start?
Is there someone that would like to start?
Oh,
Oh, excellent. Come forward, my friend. So if you don't mind, share your name with us first, and if you could then also give us the name of your invention, please.
My name is Graham, and this is my invention, and it's called the flag roller.
The flag roller? Okay.
So the flag roller rolls up flags and stores flags in an easier way. And I noticed this fall at my dad's cross country meet. He used lots of flags and rolled them, and there is no good way to store them or roll them. So I invented the flag roll. That helped by having to bend over and roll up flags, not store them in a good way. So the flag roller, people can use it. 9-year-olds and 70-year-olds could use it because it's not a toy for little kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't encounter any problems building this. So
Can you explain how you built it?
I built it. First I wondered how to build it, and then I thought of building it, and then I was like, hey, I know I should build this and this. So then I did that, and then I made it to the invention for here.
That's great. You're going to show us how it works?
So the slides are already wrapped and then you just gotta let them roll up. And then you grab that here and then you just roll them up.
Great idea. Marvelous. That's marvelous. Did you make a poster as well?
Yep.
Do you mind sharing that with us also? That's awesome. Very nice. Does anyone have any questions for Graham? No?
Is your dad gonna use it?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
don't have to bend over
He'll be 70.
And they don't get all tied up. That's an
That's
excellent
a good
idea.
Saw a problem and he solved it. Does he get your dad home earlier for
Scott, you got a good, what, 5 years left? You're done using them now.
I think it's awesome.
I think that you deserve a round of applause. Thank you, Graham. And which one of you would like to go next?
We're not.
Do you want me to call?
Uh-oh.
How about Avery? There we go. Come on, Avery. We're very much looking forward to seeing what you have to share.
I got the nail polish.
So you might have to, just because it's such a big room, you might have to talk kind of loud.
And we're old.
Yes.
It can protect nail polish from getting on your skin. So you slide your finger in to find the one that fits, and then you can put the nail polish on.
That's great. Avery, do you mind passing it around here so we can all see the top part of it as well?
Or would you feel
Or-
comfortable holding? Yeah, do you want to
Would
just
you
walk it
rather
up?
just walk it
Yeah,
around
just
and
walk
show
around. Yeah, we'll
us?
just walk it around here. Yep. There you go.
That's it. Thank you so much. Have you used this yourself?
Yeah.
Yes. Does it work well?
It is cool.
Let me see. Oh,
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, I see. That's an excellent idea. So you put it in this way, correct? And is there a favorite color?
No, not really.
No, not really. You want to show Mr. Burkhalter as well?
I make a lot of money with that one.
That's an
awesome.
excellent idea.
Very good idea.
So what made you think of this?
So I was painting my nails, and then I got paint on my skin, and then so I thought that maybe I could protect nail polish from getting on my skin.
Great. And how did you do the cutouts for your fingers?
We found my mom had these scissors that could like cut her plastic nails. So then we just used it to.
Great
Very
idea,
cool.
marvelous. And I don't know if you want to show it with everyone that's here too. That's a really great idea.
Awesome.
Did you have a poster as well? All right, let's see what that looks like. Do you mind sharing it with the folks that are in the audience just so that they can see? Thank you. Very nice. So let's put a poster. And if you'll swing it this way for me, thank
There you
you.
go.
The nail polish shield, awesome, cool, incredible. That's fantastic. Great idea. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Avery. How about if Grayson? This isn't punishment,
No.
right? This is an honor, remember? Yes,
Yeah.
without question. Do you need a Kleenex?
Maybe right over back here, I think. Yep.
I think on the desk.
Yep. Right up on the desk over there.
I'll tell you what, while Grayson is blowing his nose, how about if we have Trista? There we go.
This is the five sponge. A bit louder. This is the five sponge. And one day I was doing chores with the sponge and it kept falling out of my hands and I didn't know what to do. And so I thought of the five sponge and I told my parents and they said I could build it.
Okay, so how does it work?
So you put the sponge on and you grab your your choice. And before you put it on the soap, you can put a little water on it so it's easier to clean out of the sponges.
Have you used it?
No.
Not yet, no. I was gonna say, you can try it at my house if you would like. Have your parents used it? Not yet, okay. Do you mind showing us, walking around and showing everybody what it looks like a little closer? Great idea, wonderful. Do you have a poster as well? That's great. Wonderful, very, very good idea. You know, I could really see using something like that myself. Does anyone have any questions for Trista? No? Well, thank you, Trista. Great.
Hello, my name is Grayson. I've created a solution for those of you tired of using your remote buddy. How this works is on the back of the decorative wood block is Velcro to stick to any table, wall, or even the floor. The ring hook also has a sticky back to attach to your remote. To the remote buddy. The two are then connected by this retractable leash. Once attached to the furniture of your choosing, you are on your way to never losing your remote again. If you change furniture or get a new TV, simply remove the remote buddy and get new Velcro or reattach to your new remote or table. The most challenging part was finding a way to attach the leash to furniture without damaging it. Asking for help and trying different ideas were ways that I decided on creating my invention display. My invention solves the problem of losing your remote because it keeps your remote to attach one spot of your choosing. I researched a solution to this problem and was only able to find things such as a remote pocket that you could still end up losing your remote with. Don't let your movie night be duddy. Get yourself the remote buddy.
Oh, very nice.
Use it as a tagline.
That's very good. I see sales in your future. So have you tried this at home? Have you used it?
Yeah.
Because it's a problem. They're everywhere.
They need them for glasses and cell phones.
So my sons did the same thing that you all did, and each of them created something, and I'm sharing this with the parents more than I am with the students. And I should have taken it to someone to have someone come up with it, because 2 years later, what they had created was something that people were selling. And so I'm just saying, these are some pretty good ideas. So you might want to just not let them sit around. You might want to explore a little marketing, a little investing in something to make them last.
There are probably a lot of cross-country coaches that
Exactly.
that idea of the flag thing. And there's a market for all of it.
Yes. Well, you could even make it your school colors.
Yeah.
So it would be easy for every school to have their own and all kinds of different things. So thank you all so much for sharing, and thank you for the support of our teachers and our parents for bringing everyone here today and supporting our students. So thank you. You are more than welcome to stay, but if you choose to not do so, we understand that as well. Any public comment? No public comment. Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve voucher summary 2. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, Robert.
Any discussion? With that, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you,
And I
everybody.
abstain. Thank you. Have a
Have
good
a
evening.
great night.
Enjoy the warm weather. That was fun.
It's always my
I
favorite.
missed
I
that.
do too.
I missed that. The next item, informational items. We have Mike and Tom presenting on ESTHER 3 funding.
Yep. And if with the next item also on there is the budget, and I'm gonna probably be talking about both, if that's okay.
Perfect.
The ESTHER 3 funding update, I did link in the board report, just a quick summary so that everybody understands. Again, I know these are big numbers, and I know sometimes when we say them, it can be a little confusing as to what they are. But, in total, our district was allocated $3,357,792 of ESTHER 3 funding. And while they all had different requirements, and we can go through that in more detail, but we really don't need to, as to what the money would be used for. ESTHER 3 specifically said that you needed to reserve at least 20% for evidence-based improvement strategies, EBIS, and ensure those interventions respond to students' social, emotional, and academic needs and address the disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on underrepresented student subgroups. 20% for our district is $671,558. It's a lot of money. But if you look at the different types of EBIS or the strategies that we have done, and you consider that we have until September 2024 to spend these funds, we're going to be spending more than that on those interventionists and other things that we are doing for that.
And I think one thing to note with that is the biggest part of the conversation that we had with that small group was what students were affected in a disproportionate way through the pandemic. And so one thing that we've done with the help of both Kathy and Trista with those interventionists is we're serving all kids. So before it was you were a student that was either in intervention or you had an IEP. And we weren't crossing over students, which is a very common practice in most districts. However, knowing the issues that we had and knowing the issues that were going to be created by the pandemic, we chose to go a different route, which was our interventionists work with as many kiddos as we can have them work with across the entire school.
And how that then also relates to the overall budget side of things is, I think there has been a lot of media coverage of the amount of funds that the schools have gotten, and it is a lot of money. And nobody is trying to say otherwise on that. We're going to be using some of this too. We already have used some. We're going to continue to use some. Improving indoor air quality, outdoor learning environments, and expanding educational opportunities for those most impacted. And I mean that will include, improvements of our outdoor learning spaces, which are our playgrounds and things such as that. But obviously improving the indoor air quality, a big project is going to be done this summer, regarding that. It is a lot of money, but you can't necessarily use that to balance your budget. And we are seeing, like everyone else, we are seeing large increases in our day-to-day expenditures that truly are probably not covered by the intent of the COVID funding. Salaries and fringes. Just on $8 million of salaries in the district. If the CPIU amount of 4.7 was provided to everybody in the district, that would be $430,000 in additional salaries and benefits, for that. We have about 1,064 students for the purpose of revenue limit calculation. So that in itself would result, we would need $404 of revenue limit increase to cover that increase.
That's per student.
Yes,
You need a
per student.
$400 increase per student.
And right now in the law is zero.
Right.
I mean, there's zero. The largest that we had last was $300. Because of the power of the 3-year averaging on declining enrollment, which we have had, we would need per pupil increases of about $660 per students to cover that size of an increase. And right now we're at 0. So, how are we going to do that? Well, one, we don't know where our increase overall is going to end up. The CPIU is the most that the board, the district can negotiate with the certified union. That is the cap of base wages that you can negotiate. You can do more than that. You can give less than that. But that is kind of the cap on that. But it's a number that's out there. And as we all in our day-to-day lives understand how much things are increasing in cost, salaries may need to increase to remain competitive with other districts and other professions, really. So when we have opportunities not to fill a position due to the declining enrollments, we need to take a hard look at that and say, are our resources going to the right spot? And we actually may see a reduction in the number of staff employed as one way to deal with that. We will be using some COVID funds to fund not necessarily the increases in salaries, but to maintain our current programs that otherwise would be difficult as we have increases elsewhere.
And if we look at it from the state level, that was the intent from the state of Wisconsin with the essentially, tax cut to local taxpayers. And so again, it is what it is in that particular moment, but we got a 0 increase from the state. So with the intent from them saying we could use some of the ESTHER funding to counteract and balance some of the books. Obviously, major concerns with that are you have one-time funding potentially impacting long-term funding with raises and salary and benefit increases. So it's always
without a plan
Yep.
to improve it.
Yes.
I think
Yep.
So because I've been noticing and in your monthly report, you guys have probably noticed that natural gas, electricity, diesel fuel, gasoline, everything, everybody's own, every time you fill up the tank, you're reminded how much it does cost. But I did want to just kind of take a look at where we were at. Natural gas in December. In December, it was 36.24 per therm higher, or 71% more than last December. February, 65% higher, with prior actual being $65,000 of gas for our district. That's how much we actually paid for natural gas last year. We could see an actual 21-22 of 110, 500, probably pretty easily. I'll be doing a budget amendment to reflect that. But I think we probably got a plan for that for another year in our planning. So, we're $35,000 short this year, and we're going to have to then also come up with an additional $35,000 for that next year. Electricity wasn't as bad as I thought. Those bills are bigger, but the percentage increase wasn't as bad as I was anticipating. I was thinking it was going to be in that 50-60% range, but it wasn't. It was 13% for the month, we looked at, and, for the year, we're at about 20% higher. That's a bigger number. So we're probably looking at an additional 25,000 more than we had budgeted and spent last year. Diesel fuel, we purchase ours bulk and, we have our own tanks for both diesel and gas. For the year, we paid $3.16 and we paid in the range of $3.016 and 3.813 on a per gallon amount. For the year, though, that averaged out based on the number of gallons we purchased to $3.26 per gallon. That's an increase of 34% over last year's average of $2.44. So, our fuel costs have went up, significantly. For us, for our buses, we're also driving more. That translates to an additional $18,000 over last year's purchases. Gas, we're 41% higher, but it's a lot less. But we also have additional miles, so that's about $8,000 more. And I think the more that I'm looking at all of the categories for our larger expenses, so wages, heating and fuel costs, and electricity, and then we get into the maintenance, we're going to see this. Our operating costs are continuing to go up without that corresponding increase in revenue limit. Now, but the state does have a surplus. They have left without figuring out what to do with that surplus. But I do think that there will be something. Hopefully this year it would be on the per pupil again. Maybe, the long range would say it'd be better, for everyone to put it on the revenue limit. If it was on the per pupil categorical aid, that actually might help our district on a one-to-one basis better than that. Taxes, what I'm projecting so far for next year is another decrease. I think, with our revenue limit basically being held even with the hold harmless or going down a little bit and anticipating our aid to go up due to the amount of spending that we have. I believe our tax levy right now will go down. So I guess that's a positive thing. I think you're going to start hearing from other districts about this. Mr. Olbert mentioned that in the Sparta School District, they are, having communications as to budget deficits, and they're real. I mean, when our costs go up in double digit plus, increments, and our revenues don't, something's going to have to give. I mean, that is where we're at. So in the next 2 months, you're going to be seeing harder numbers on the budget through the Baird model and everything, understanding that we've got some tough decisions to be taking a look at here. We have some flexibility with the COVID funds, but as Tom said, I mean, you don't want to set yourself up for a cliff in 3 years. That's for sure. So.
Well, and as wonderful as it is to get the ESSER funding and some relief because of the pandemic, there's all of these restrictions and guidelines that you have to follow. Whereas if it were per pupil, we could make better decisions on, not necessarily better decisions, but we would have more room to make decisions that fit our district in a better way than being mandated to spend it in certain areas. So it's the same thing with grants. When you receive a grant, it's fantastic, but you can't base long-term your budget on a grant. It's typically short-term. So it'll be interesting to see what the state ends up doing.
I think, for us, knowing that there is an unknown coming, I think what you will see from the administration is being fiscally responsible and looking when attrition does happen, do we have to replace this position? Or is this an option that when we have more solid numbers, then we can talk about? Because again, with the unknown, that's a big piece there, and salaries and benefits are not a cheap expense. Every person that we add is a real impact on our budget, has a real impact. So, and we have, over the last 2 years have hired pretty much every time we've had somebody, we're going to be a little bit more, hey, we need to look and really analyze it, if this is not an imminent, definite need right now, then we're gonna try to see what we can do. If not, then again, obviously there are some things we can't do that with. There are some positions we don't have that luxury. So, but we'll be looking and really analyzing and then going from there. And again, if that budget picture changes, if we get some good news, that completely, obviously we'll adjust as we go.
Well, we've had the good fortune to remain somewhat consistent with our student
Yes.
population as well. So if that increases or decreases, that makes a big difference too. And we can't predict that necessarily from year to year. Ken?
Any luck on
pulling districts together to find a vendor for the playground
Yeah,
thing, or is that?
Yeah, we're looking into different options. It's really not a buying power piece. It's more of a logistics and savings piece, which is
Right.
just, hey, if we're all doing playgrounds at the same time, we can kind of look into different things. I don't see that gaining as much traction as what we potentially could have prior to, I just, everybody,
Versus
yeah.
extremely limited as
Yep.
to who
Yep.
sells that playground equipment. It's
What you need and
There's-
when they can do it and all
yeah,
that fun stuff.
the,
Yep.
the market is pretty narrow
Yes.
for vendors.
Yep.
Well, and also everyone is having the opportunity to make
Right.
improvements with
Correct.
these dollars, so.
Yes,
um,
and that's where,
they-
yep.
Makes it tough.
mhm. Is that everything on that?
Yep, I think
Thank
so.
you. Any questions? The next item is Bigley Pool.
I'll take that also.
You can start. I'll see if I have.
So since we last met,
More
and,
leads?
and nope,
Nope, we found it.
no. Actually, I was pretty confident the night that we visited down to the pool that this is where it was going to be. And Mr. Etheridge and I are both very glad that we did not decide to dig where we thought it was going to be, because we would have been off by about 25 feet. So basically, long story short, we brought in American Leak Detection Services. The gentleman was very professional and it was a neat process to watch. Like we said, we should have told Mr. Benzing for physics class, as far as put water on the low end and air on the high end, and where they meet, you should be able to hear it. And he's literally walking around with a stethoscope.
A stethoscope that's on the ground, and then like an amplifier he's carrying around in a fanny pack, and then huge headphones on. So
And-
he's hearing, he's listening to that pressure change.
And he's just moving that,
Coolest thing.
the part of the stethoscope. Usually I'm listening to you on the floor with his foot, and he's, and they move it a little bit. He feels very confident he got where he needed to be.
Yep. And if Kyle from the leak detection ever sees this, I'm so sorry I oversimplified your job.
Yeah.
It was so much more than that.
So we have it marked off down there. I reached out to Newman Pools, then who built the pool and will do their repair. And so they will be coming in the next 2 weeks. I have not been able to pin down a date yet. They're getting their schedules. They are getting us a time and materials budget. And he said, he goes, Mike, it's going to be on the high side. I fully expect it to be about half this amount, but we are looking at the $15,000 to $20,000 range of repairing the leak. It's going to entail cutting through the deck of the pool, a 4x8 or more hole, getting through the concrete, getting down to the pipe, fixing the pipe. He doesn't anticipate any problems with the gravel underneath, because the gravel is there for a reason. And hopefully that is what, happened. And then put it all back together, smooth it all out. And then a week or so after that, it'll be about, he said he'll plan for about 10 weeks or 10 days of labor to do it. Again, he's hoping they can do this in about a week, but then you let it cure for a week or so before you'd start putting water in. So now we're getting to that point, depending on if they can get here. I was kind of pushing for the 31st, so a week from this Wednesday, because ideally what they would like to be able to do is dig, fix, and then leave the weekend and then come back in time on the next Monday. So I was kind of pushing him for the 31st. He wouldn't commit to it, but he knows that that's our desire.
Of March.
Of March.
Yep.
So we're probably looking, by the time the water would get heated, best case scenario, mid-April, probably late April. We are in that point of, okay, does it make sense now in May to see if we can get that boiler installed, as opposed to opening and then shutting down for a week or so to install the boiler at the pool also. We were going to delay that and just, when it made sense for the YMCA and everything, a slower time in their mind, kind of trying to plan that out. But it may just make more sense.
And we may be able to do it sooner. We don't know.
Correct.
And so if we can get them in there, close to the same time, obviously we don't want two different groups working over top of each other. But it would be really beneficial to get everything done just at once. And for
Since we're
perspective,
closed anyway.
right? Since the pool's closed anyways, for perspective, that the deck of the pool is at least 18 inches thick. So as you're going through, this is not a all right, we're going to bust through some concrete here and be done with this. It's 18 inches, and
the pipe is under the concrete.
Correct. So it's a T joint with the pipe just underneath that, but they are very confident, and that's where
and then after they fix it, before they put it all back together, they do pressure tests to see if there's other ones. Because he was pretty confident he had the one.
The big, yep.
But in theory, there could be other areas.
Mm-hmm. So we're working on, that's a long story for we're working on it. We're getting there.
It's my Monday morning task to call the different people to figure, yes, it's.
But doesn't the Y need to know a date to open?
They know, we've been keeping
Yes.
everybody in the loop. They know what we're dealing with. And I think that, again, because they're pool people, they get it more than most, right? That there are issues sometimes and they get it. So they've been very, very patient with us.
They have went ahead with their lifeguard training. They train lifeguards for the city of Westby and everything like that. So they have went ahead.
Mhm.
They do feel that they could, in short order, staff our pool and then build from there.
Okay.
So
They're preparing already.
Any other questions?
That is one of the questions. I know you've seen a lot of them too. that
I know.
The community wants to
They're
know.
They're ready. They're ready.
Keep telling the story.
We do too, I know.
Can't believe what happened now.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you, and maybe it's your guys' communication, but the people have been very tolerant and patient and supportive.
They want it
honestly, I
to
get
be open,
emails
but
too.
they understand.
Well, and
When
if
you
we.
had something shut down for that amount of time.
And if we
they wanted
remember
to
back to
pay.
when we started these conversations, we talked about this, that this is one, it's a specialty group. So it's not like we have 4 people lined up in town that can do this kind of work. We don't have that. And we knew that there was going to be issues with the pool sitting for as long as it was unfilled.
And
so we knew this.
intended there should not be any supply issues
Yeah.
with concrete or tile. As I
Yes.
said, that's the next thing. And he said, no. He said, I should be able to have everything right there.
Yes.
I'll believe it when I see
Uh-huh.
it.
I think you
Not
and
to
my
be a
friend.
bit of a
know both.
pessimist, but
Also, though,
it's been a protection.
We have staffed our custodial position
Yes.
down there at
Okay.
4 hours per day.
Yep.
And so taking advantage of this time, we've been able to repair walls, paint, clean up the oxidation on the stainless. It's really looking good.
It's looking great.
It's really getting clean. So that's good.
Could be a skate park.
No, it's gonna be a pool.
No.
We were in there.
And we're done with this conversation.
Liability.
Forward.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Next topic, donations over $250.
I think the only one we had, not the only one, I don't mean it like that, but very generous one from Lacuna Consulting LLC towards the academic decathlon team, which we started this year, and $500.
That's marvelous. Thank you. I received an email from Karen Dahl that there's a $500 grant opportunity through the county. Are you all
Through the
aware of
Rotary.
that?
To Rotary.
Is it through the Rotary?
Through Rotary. Mini grants through the Rotary.
Okay, up to $500, and it can be
We have,
uniforms and.
yep,
bunch
we've
of-
forwarded that on to our coaching staffs
Okay.
and to our student council. And so hopefully they'll be taking advantage of that. We are also having Sharon look into that as well.
Okay,
Mhm.
because I was going to just voice that for anyone in the
Mhm.
community because it's supposed to go to any type of organization
Yep.
and within.
And I
our
think they
area.
have 12 of them available. If I remember,
Actually,
I think
it
it's
didn't-
12.
I didn't
Yep.
see the number of
So
them.
it's a good number. So, yep.
All right. Well, thank you for that. That's marvelous. District administrator reports.
Yeah.
It's you.
Yes, thank you.
Unless I'm
That's me.
exempting.
Okay. No. So facility planning update. So if you remember, man, we're looking at 2.5 months ago, maybe 3 months now, where we not quite 2 months ago, where we sat down and we chose HSR and Myron to lead us through this facility planning process. So there are some dates that I want to make not only our board aware of, but also the community aware of. The first is April 6th. That's our regularly scheduled first Wednesday workshop. So instead of our linkage that was originally the thought in our first kind of conversation about that time, we're going to have a linkage, but just with a different group right now. But for the 6th, we are going to be meeting down at the elementary and doing this very similar tour. They will also have some potential ideas for the board to take a look at. As far as some options after they talked with the staff, talked with the board and admin team. So we'll have some potentials at that meeting. April 19th and go ahead.
Excuse me. So Tom, were you able to speak to board members that weren't present at that meeting at all?
I wasn't. I connected with a couple, but not everybody.
Okay.
Yep, I did not connect with Matt yet.
So Matt, if you don't mind reaching out and
We'll
giving your input, and did you?
Yeah.
He showed me the book when I was in his office.
Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you. Perfect.
Yep. So that's that. The other thing, and a postcard will be going out soon, is April 19th and 20th. We will be having community input sessions. So we'll have 2 on the 19th. One will be an in-person input session with the entire community is invited in. And that later that evening, we'll do a virtual one. The following morning, we'll do another session. All 3 will have the same information presented and then an opportunity to hear back from the community. And so the process has been going incredibly well with Myron HSR, very professional group that I'm thrilled with, just the way that they handle things and the way the lens in which they're looking at things. And so again, April 6th, board workshop, we're going to meet down in the cafetorium of the elementary for that night at 5:45. Is that right? I think we have it at 5:45, but we'll confirm that before. And then we will go and on the 19th, again, have 3 different opportunities for the community to give input and to hear some of the options that Myron and HSR have come up with.
How is that information going to be given to the community about the options, the April 19th, 20th input session?
They will have a presentation and then.
So how are they?
There'll be a postcard. There'll be a postcard that will go, what is it called? It was EDDR.
Every door.
What is it?
I don't know.
Come on now. Every door direct mailing, EDDM. So we have that option. And so in working with our local printer, they will help us organize that, and literally every door gets it. Some outside of the district probably will get it as well. So if anybody from Westby or Kickapoo want to come over and give us some input on our buildings, go right ahead. But really, we wanted to make sure that we were not only getting it to everybody, but then everybody's got that opportunity then to come and hear what we've got to say, and then also give input, to respond to some of the ideas.
One of the things that I've done, and maybe everyone can do the same thing, is like, for instance, I was at the, just before the volunteer meeting at the hospital began, I told them those things were out there, really encouraged them, because that would be a population that is one of the heavy voters, but don't have kids in school, may have grandkids in school. And I've also called a few community members and said, put this on your calendar. There'll be more info. I don't know where the meetings are held. So I would encourage other people. They were like, it's great to get it on my calendar ahead of time, because their calendars, especially, business people working and stuff. So I encourage everyone to do that with who they see, just so we can get more input.
Yep. Specific times are Tuesday, April 19th at 6 p.m. That's for the in-person, and that's in the high school commons out here. 7:30 will be virtual, and I write on the postcard, there's a QR code that people can get into it right there, and then they will be a part of that meeting. On Wednesday, it's in person here in the commons at 9 a.m. So we're really trying to hit multiple shifts, multiple demographics. We're trying to hit everybody and give everybody an opportunity to come on in and hear about some options.
And that's just the first step.
And that is the first step, yes.
Robert, have you shared your ideas with Tom as well? Have you met?
Robert,
assuming-
do you share your
Yes.
ideas with me?
Never do.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
I just did not want to exclude you because I knew you couldn't attend that last meeting
Yeah.
that we had. So just want to make sure. I was
Yep.
guessing you were all in as far as
So
community.
how do we use CISA 10 in this conversation?
I think it's a good starting point. I think that they identified some things that we've already moved on, right? But I do think that this is more of a this is just a different level, right? A different level of an in-depth look. So they are using that. They do have access to that. Myron and HSR both do, and have used that as the platform to start the conversation. Any questions about that? Okay. Community visioning event. Holy smokes. So this has been a year in the making now.
I think it's been more than a year.
I think it has now. It's somewhere right around there, probably about a year. We originally had said we were going to do that in May now. Well, we originally said last November, then we backed it up to May because of COVID. And now, since we're asking the community to come in and give their time on the 19th and 20th, we felt that was probably too close and too much to ask to do a first week in May, a 3-day commitment. So we are going to back that up, and we're going to back that up to November again, which was the ideal time anyway for our ag partners, for everybody, for everybody as far as sports, as we were running into tons of spring sport issues with any dates that we were throwing out. So that was the ideal time frame anyway. So we're looking at the 10th, 11th, and 12th, and really, again, allowing our students to be a showcase for us and really promoting what we're doing during that event. So again, we are backing that up to the 10th, 11th, and 12th. One, I want to give a big shout out to those on the design team. This has been a process of start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. And they've done a phenomenal job at staying engaged and understanding how important this work is for the future of our long-term strategic plan for the district. So the second piece there, and I really want to give a shout out to Drew Howick from Howick and Associates, who has now been very understanding and empathetic to our situation to allow us under our current contract with them to continue to do and make the best decisions for our district and do what's best for our district. And so again, a lot of gratitude for not only the time given currently, what they've already given, but what they will give here moving forward. And then also to that organization that has been nothing but professional as well. I mean, it's been a very good process, and I'm very excited to actually have this happen. But again, with everything we've got right now on the table, it's a lot. And so to recognize that and to be able to put that more where it will be more at the forefront is really important. Any questions on that? All right. Early Learning Center update. So Sharon started last week, Monday, and has already made a ton of connections in the community. We've started working on applying for multiple grants to help us with the startup, which is, again, she had probably already started some of this before she even had her official start date. And we are looking at bringing in multiple people to help us with the planning process. There will be some construction, but I don't think we're looking at quite the level that we, when Mike and I walked through it, I mean, we're not childcare people, and we're not construction people. Well, maybe I claim to be partially. I like construction, but I like tearing things down, not necessarily building them back up. But I think, in my mind, we had a lot more of taking down load-bearing walls and doing making this look completely different. And I don't think Sharon has quite the same vision, which is good and helpful. And I do think it'll be less intense than what we were originally thinking. With that being said, we still will have parking issues that we have to address, not only with the current parking lot, which is But by design, you know, I don't know why they did the sloping back towards the building, but everyone seemed to do it. So we've got some sloping back to the building that has some cracks and some standing water that happens after a heavy rain. So we've got to address that. And then we do need to increase additional parking there on top of the playground area that we'll have to add, and the would be the southeast corner of the property. We have had a ton of great feedback. We've got a community that's very excited right now about this center, and I'm so thrilled that we're able to do this for them. So again, right now we're getting construction people here that can tell us just kind of scope and timeline, and then we'll hopefully have another. We'll be able to hone in on that timeline for next month and be able to say, okay, here's the anticipated time of when the construction will be done. We're going to try to avoid a September 1st opening. So anecdotally from the other superintendents that have done this, and they're popping up more and more throughout the state, everyone decides to do a September 1 opening because in your mind, it's a logical opening date. And every single one of them has told me, do not do that because you're starting a new school year. So you're opening your school buildings on top of opening an early learning center. And that is way too much to try to balance at that point in time, because we do need to give that some one-on-one attention for that from the district leadership. So that's what I'll tell you is I'm going to try to avoid a September 1st opening. But other than that, I really think that, it could be sooner than what we anticipated, and that's an exciting option. Other things that have been thrown out there for playgrounds is some natural play scapes, I believe is what they call them, which I think within our community would go really well. I think we've got, if we can bring in some natural elements, not all, some will still have to use, some of the traditional playground equipment, but I think we've got a good idea with that. So Sharon, again, bringing lots of ideas, making connections in town already. As far as one of our grants, we have to identify a core team of 10 to 15 people throughout the community to really put together a long-range plan for childcare, which is about as perfect for strategic planning as we can get anyway. So that's best practice anyway. We might as well line up with the grant and do that best practice while we're continuing, this journey. Any questions about that?
So you're going to open on September 2nd then?
Hey now, Robin. No, I would not like to open on September 2nd. Yep.
She's out there working because Peg and I are going to go over and box up just the stuff that's laying around, books and stuff on the walls. And they literally left it as it was.
Yep.
And people took their private things and everything else is still there. So we actually have that set up. We just set that up to date, and we're going to go over and fill boxes and stuff for her just to get some of that done. So she's going rich and everywhere.
She's going. Yep. And so this is an exciting time for sure.
Do you have any idea yet the age groups that are going to be in that building?
Yeah, so right now, looking at licensure, we're looking at 6 weeks to 11. And I think that allows us the most flexibility. I won't say that we're going to necessarily service up to 11 years old. Okay. It would depend on numbers. So if we fill up with those that are there full time, we're probably not going to have a ton of that wraparound care options currently. So we'll talk about that and we'll see what we've got for options. Again, when we look at our district, we're at about 7.2 children in the child care age for every slot available, which is just an incredible number to think about. And again, that's obviously not including stay-at-home parents and people that stay with grandma and grandpa, kids that stay with grandma and grandpa. There are other things, but that number is still pretty staggering when you're considered a childcare desert at 3 to 1. So we're at a point where the community has needs and we're able to meet those needs, which is exciting.
A question that's been asked, and you may not know this answer yet, and that's absolutely fine. Is there going to be 24-hour care?
That's something I think that is a possibility. When talking with DCF, they were unsure of the actual need. Okay. So on paper, we do have a community being the county seat and having VMH. So we have the jail, we have round the clock care at our assisted living, police officers. So on paper, they felt that, okay, yep, this would probably be a good candidate as far as a community that would have round the clock care for kiddos. I won't say that 10 times fast, round the clock care for kiddos. Anyway, but in their initial, when they actually went out and asked, it did not come back as a main priority. That's not saying that it won't now, but they when they did that a few years ago, it was not something that verbally was shared with them as often as they felt it should be. And so again, I do think that there are needs. I just don't know if it will be a top priority of the district at this point.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions other than when is this opening? Because that's the one I get every day, multiple times a day. So as soon as I know, everyone will know. Any other questions about the ELC? Awesome. I do want to make note and have just give some congratulations and to recognize we do have 2 retirements that you guys already approved in the consent agenda that I just want to make note of and give some formal recognition. Mary Erickson Hare is retiring from middle school ELA after 26 years with the district. And Tammy Maston is retiring most currently as first grade after 29 years with the district. Both 2 phenomenal teachers and ladies within our district that have given their adult lives to the district. And I would love to give them just a round of applause for their years.
In the past, there's been some type of an event of celebration for those that retire, and then we had COVID and couldn't do that. Is something going to take place?
They usually plan. The
teachers. The teachers usually plan something.
And
Okay.
they did something last year. I know that we attended. Yep.
It's the VEA.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's all I have. That might be the shortest district administrator report we've had in a long time.
Well, that's a lot of years of service
Yes.
for 2 of our staff. So we would all like to thank them for their service. Administrator reports. We have Jason. What would you like to start, Jason, please?
I feel bad. I have like twice as many.
You've got a lot of commas in your report there.
I'll try to go through them fairly quickly. ACT testing, like Cammy mentioned, was on the 8th. Makeup day is actually tomorrow. We had about 90% that were able to complete on the original day. It's always good to see the delivery drivers show up the next day to pick it up and take it on its way. So we do have the AP exam testing coming up. We have a total of 41 students taking 63 exams this year in 7 different areas. That is a little down for us compared to what we've ran in the past. Still a great opportunity for kids to earn a great deal amount of credit for their post-secondary education. Prom is just over a month away. And it's going to be out back at the fairgrounds. It's been probably a handful of years since we've had it at the fairgrounds in the expo center over there, but that is literally just over a month away. Graduation is about a month after that. Honors program is in between. It's that first Wednesday in May. So all those events are coming up and are well in the planning process. Co-curricular wise, like Cammy mentioned, spring sports are up and running. Baseball started today. We unfortunately did have to, I joked with Mr. Ellerbush last week on, I think it was on Thursday. I asked him, I'm like, so is track meet going to happen on Friday? And he goes, it's an indoor meet. Of course it's going to happen. And I said, yeah, but can we get there and back? And he's like, I wasn't thinking about that. So unfortunately, we already had to cancel our first event there, but it'll be great as things get up and running. And because there are events already starting to be scheduled this week, as long as we can get the fields available and weather can provide for us. We also, kind of a cool thing, I don't know if we've done it here in the past, we had about a week and a half ago, we had the high school staff and Troy, the middle school counselor, we went and toured Western's campus in La Crosse. think we had about 30 of us total in the group. Toured different parts of the buildings, learned about the programs. Staff got to take a Kahoot quiz with prizes to just display their knowledge of the programs. The initial, they did have us fill out a survey before we left there. Isaac actually just talked to me today and said that the responses they got were very positive to it. We were also doing an internal one to just kind of see those responses. And so we spent just over a half a day there. And it was great to see the facilities. Western is very unique in that it almost has a 4-year feel to it in many ways. And part of the reason we chose that is the vast majority of teaching staff only know a 4-year campus. There's not a lot of them that have gone through a 2-year type of program. So it was really kind of a nice event, and a number of staff even discussed afterwards how nice it was to be able to see that. And even in following up with the staff over the next couple of days, I mean, I had one staff member, I think I had to check in the next day, and they're like, yeah, I might have talked about it in my first 2 classes today, you know, type of thing, just because it's some way, and especially with academic career planning, to be able to, kids are going to have questions, and staff are going to want to help students as far as they're planning for the future and doing different things. And things have changed with a lot of the 2+2 programs out there. I had some staff who are also parents that are like, yeah, this is great as a staff member. This is even better as a parent, you know, because there's just different options out there, and there's different programs. It's a lot of it's just shorter programs. The one program they were talking about, they prefer kids to have like 2 years of high school calculus to go into the program. And a lot of people wouldn't necessarily think that type of program is at a technical college, but a lot of the programs are still very skilled positions. They just happen to not take 4 to 5 years to get the degrees out of it. So very worthwhile event. We've even talked maybe in a couple of years, maybe it makes sense to do a, we have a lot of kids that go to Southwest down in Fenimore. Maybe it makes sense to, you know, do a similar thing, and just so to be able to share as much information as we can with students about options that are fairly local options. So.
And that Kahoot with prizes, how many prizes were awarded?
10.
Yep. And where'd you finish?
I actually sadly finished 11th. The only reason I know 11th, because if you've ever done Kahoot, it'll tell you like if you're a certain amount of points behind the person in front of you. And the person that got 10th was sitting right next to me. And I know we both got the last answer right, but it did not vault me into the top 10. So I came home.
You're not bitter about it at all.
There was 30 of us there, so 11th is respectable. But I should have looked through the booklet a lot more before the test was given. So.
Sorry to bring that up.
It's okay. I started slow. I was picking up speed. If it would have been like a 10-minute longer quiz, I probably was golden.
Did you all go through the apprenticeship building as well?
That was one of the options. So everybody went through the IT building, and then you could either choose the apprenticeship building or the business education building. The vast majority of the staff went through the apprenticeship option.
So Western's the only one that has a residence hall, but what's happening now in the technical college system in the state of Wisconsin, there is another technical college now that is, because there's space in the resident hall at the university right beside them, they're now going to allow them to use some of that resident hall for their student population at the technical college. And so it is a nice way of having the college experience, the athletics, as well as the 2+2s and work experience to get credit. And I'm a huge fan. I've seen some great things going on.
And it was just great to connect with some of the people, like the dean at the IT. We've even talked about potentially having him come look at our facilities and see as far as our equipment and different things as far as what he would recommend, what he would not recommend. Because a lot of times, especially in those type of areas, some people think it's just like the newest, shiniest, most expensive thing that you want to get. But to some degree with some students, you don't have to teach a lot to push a button. So to some degree, some of those older, more manual type of things are actually a greater learning tool for them to go into it. It's just good to be able to make those connections. And like I said, to be able to get the teachers out and about and see different things that are only less than probably 45 minutes away that they probably weren't familiar with in many ways.
Teachers don't get to do field trips very often for teaching.
They do not.
Well, there's also, it's just a really nice opportunity for students. And there's so many different things that are going on in the technical college system that people just are not even a little bit aware of. And the whole mindset of meeting students where they are, not where you expect them to be. We've been doing that in K-12, since the beginning of time, and are hopefully getting better and better at it. But that's the way the technical college system is moving forward as well. So thank you for doing that. Anything else? Any other questions? Krista, you are up next.
Yeah, it's event season. Now that it's spring and we're starting to have some events back in person again. I just highlighted 2 that have happened already this spring. Battle of the Books, as you probably know, has a long history here in Viroqua. Actually, this year we've had some additional participation with a 4th grade team and a high school team through a statewide Battle of the Books contest, in addition to our traditional 6th grade only contest. So thank you to the 4th grade teachers and 6th grade teachers and Whitney Beckstrand for helping to facilitate the kind of the year-long reading process and helping kids stay on track and practice discussing the books and the questions with each other. With the statewide contest, there was a virtual contest that the 4th grade team and the high school team participated in. And then the 6th grade contest has had local battles all year, and coming up in April, we will take 2 of those teams to represent Viroqua at a regional book battle with teams in the area that have also been reading those same books. In addition, the spelling bee was just last week for our district spelling bee students. 6 students from each grade, grades 4 through 8, participated in our district spelling bee. Our library media staff here really did a nice job getting everything organized and set up. We were also able to have an audience this year, plus a live stream option. So it was the best of all worlds this year. As I noted, there was 1 winner from grades 4 through 6 and 1 winner from grades 7 through 8 who will represent our school tomorrow in the spelling bee at the PAC in Westby. And also some alternates will come along too, because they took the 2nd place in their categories or their grade groups. They will come along to be spectators and join in just seeing what it's like at the spelling bee. So it's been good to have some of these contests back like usual again.
And one nice thing is now there's a lot more options, Zoom,
Right.
virtual, so parents that work can attend in a different format. I mean, it's a win-win. It's more work to set it up, but it's more accessible to everyone. Well, good luck to those students tomorrow. Riley, you are up next.
Or would you like me to stand just here?
Right there is perfect.
Got it. Oh, there we go. Now we gotcha.
Regarding summer school, we started the journey back right before Christmas because we knew that the elementary was going to be closed for maintenance the whole summer. So a team of us, administrators, custodial staff, myself, walked around the middle school, high school building to plan for roomage. And once we saw that that was possible, then I proceeded to reach out to the teaching staff for course proposals. And there has not been a decrease in that. So the teachers are continuing to step up even though it's at a different building. I got the registration booklet out a couple weeks ago. This is actually the last week to enroll. It was a total of a 3-week period. And right now, so it's still just a few days left, there's 222 students that are enrolled up through middle school. So that does not count the high school credit recovery yet. We won't know more about that. Any questions so far? I mean, that was basically it. I mean, I've got some more numbers about the back to school and some of the extracurriculars like camping and canoeing. But moral of the story is, even though it's at a different location, the attendance hasn't really been affected.
It's great. Look forward to seeing what's being offered this year, if there's anything new or different.
Yeah, and
It's always fun to see what people come up with.
yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because there are a couple new offerings. Marie Schneider, Kim Cade had an outdoor adventures class last summer, but it was just in the afternoon. So there are a lot of things they couldn't do. So they're extending that to all day, every day. For all 18 days, they're taking kids all over. Some trips are to Madison. Yeah, they really stepped up with that class. And right now, there's about 26 people that have signed up for it. 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And then also, we're teaming up with BMH to do a sports performance camp, 7 weeks, with the exception of the 4th of July week. Right now, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, they're a session based on this current year. Okay, so if you're a 4th grader this current year, all the way up to 7th grade, you get to attend the first session, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 7 in the morning to 8:30. We're gonna work with Matt, the athletic trainer at BMH, and Austin Jones, PE teacher, for an hour and a half, just different research-based things. And then from 9 to 10:30, 8th grade, 9th, 10th, 11th, they get to come. But right now, the verdict's still out on the high schoolers because a lot of them didn't receive the registration booklet. So I created a special 1-page flyer that I'm handing out to the spring coaches. I started today because I just thought it would mean more coming from the actual coach. So right now, the first session has at least 12, hoping to bump that up. And then for high school, yeah, the numbers still got to come in.
Well, one of the conflicts will be those that work at Park and Rec. So that's always one of the problems during that time frame of the day. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. It's exciting. Pat, I skipped you. I apologize.
That's okay.
It's
You know,
your
I don't
turn.
mind being.
It's your turn. I did not forget, though.
That's all right.
It's
I'm the
your turn
youngest
now.
of 3 boys, so I'm skipped all the time. We did have
Not intentionally.
Read Across America at the elementary building, which is part of National Education Association celebrating a nation of diverse readers. So we did some dress up days the week of February 28th. And Nan Oldenburg, one of our reading interventionists, brought in 19 guest readers on March 3rd. It was nice again to have that in person, to do some reading with different classrooms. And then in addition, a new event this year, Haley Harris, our librarian, has a March Madness of picture books going on, which is pretty cool. She took the elementary building staff, all of our favorite books from whenever kids are to now. Had a bracket of 32, so we're down to the Sweet 16 now of staff's favorite books to get it down to each classroom. All the classrooms get to read those books for a week or two, and then each classroom votes on which one they like better to narrow down the bracket. So it's kind of a cool idea. It's a lot of work for her to organize, round up that many books. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I hope her picks are better than mine.
Well, my
Not done well.
childhood favorite story of Ferdinand didn't make it out of it.
Ah.
They were kind of like Kentucky.
Books, football.
But yeah.
That's a great idea. Have fun.
Yeah.
Are the kids into it?
They are, yeah.
I
And
bet.
I think staff realize even with 3rd and 4th graders, like these kids love these books, even think they're too old for some of these books and they're not. So it's kind of eye-opening for them too.
Did Chicka Chicka Boom Boom make it? Do you know?
I don't know if that did or not.
It's one of my personal favorites.
I think that might have been one. I don't know. I'll have to check the bracket and I'll give you an update.
Well, thank you. And I had the good fortune of being able to read, and it was virtually, and then I recorded one from last year. And it was just so nice to be in the classroom and to talk to the students, and they were so engaged, and they would come up to the screen and ask questions. And it was just awesome. I'm sure I took up more time than what she wanted, but it was a really good experience. And then the thank you notes that they sent are very much appreciated as well. So that's very sweet. So thank you for allowing volunteers to do that. Pat, you are up. You've been very patient with us.
Since I don't come to these very often, it's been, I think, 20 years here in the district that I have not yet to speak at a full conference. Next, a little of my presentation, I'll kind of give you an update of my department. I don't know if all of you actually know what it is we do, and who all works with me. So I'm Pat. I'm the one that takes care of the servers, the budgets, the planning, the stuff like that. The boring stuff. I don't have a whole lot of face-to-face with the staff. That's first slide. Joe Allen. He's your building technician, your district technician. He's the one that takes care of the password changes, the updates, the running to the classroom if the projector dies. He's amazing. He's the reason why we do so good. We have one of the best turnaround times in any district that I'm aware of. I go to state conference every year. We talk to other departments. I actually speak on our help desk at the conference. Is one of my presentations is how good we do with our help desk. And it's not just education. I talk to hospitals. I talk to businesses. We blow it away. I think Joe is the reason why. I'm not just like blowing smoke. I can, if you had to choose between Joe and I
don't think so. I don't think so.
It's far more my. I mean, I'm no slouch myself. I mean,
I'm well aware of that.
But Joe's the guy who's been. It's the reason why he's so special is because he's been here for so long. And normally the help desk position is one of those ones that gets turned over and over again. Every 2 or 3 years, you're hiring a new guy, you're training them or a new person, and he's been here forever. And he plans it. He's happy here. He likes the district. He likes the people. He likes the community. And he's happy with this position, which is very rare. And someone like that's usually wants to climb a corporate ladder, and he doesn't. He's very content. He likes his life, and I really appreciate him for that fact because it makes everything go here smoothly. I got Deanna Liam part-time. She works in the library part-time. She works with me part-time. She does, I put an ODAA. I don't know, other duties as assigned.
She's a slash for it.
She just puts that hat on. Whether you need a drive-up COVID station for picking up and dropping off laptops, she's out there doing it. She never complains. She's amazing to work with. So again, I've had the same 2 people working. I mean, find me another IT department that's had, we're all 15, 20. Deanna's like, I don't want to give away her age, but lots of
she doesn't either.
She's a baby compared to some of us.
So Deanna's amazing. Joe's amazing. I don't want to not mention the librarians too, Haley Harris and Gidget Moore, and then their aides, Kathy Lund and Mary Weed. They do. So that's your IT team. They're the ones that work with the staff, do your technology integration. They're the ones that provide the services in the district.
And Joe and Deanna are graduates from here.
Yes, yes they are, and they've been here a long time. And they don't plan on leaving. So, advance in life. Here's the services we provide, and this is just. I gave myself a limit like 5 minutes. I sat on my computer and just quick jotted down the ones I could think of off the top of my head. The 2 I want to point out the most is the help desk. If you've ever talked to me outside of this meeting, we do not take phone calls. We do not take any form of communication. Well, you can talk to us, and it's not like we shun. We walk down the hallway. You cannot tell us to fix your computer. You cannot do this. It breaks down communication because they'll tell us 15 times. They said, he said, and it never goes well. So an administrator will come up to me and say, so-and-so talked to you 10 times about getting the computer fixed. You have 10 tickets? Because if you don't have 10 tickets, I don't believe you. And this new staff orientation, when I meet with the staff, I always tell them, look, if you want to get me in trouble, put it on the help desk. If it's on the help desk, either I'm not going to do it and you have proof, or I'm going to do it and your problem solved. So there's no downside to using the help desk formula. And it's kind of a clearinghouse for us. So everything that goes to our help desk, the staff doesn't have to know if it's software because we send that to the libraries, or if it's a leaky sink because we send that to maintenance because they're on our help desk as well. All service requests come in one portal. They're all sorted by us. Joe is actually the one that shuffles tickets around. He assigns me work. He assigns Deanna work. And he takes care of the bulk of the stuff himself. So that's why our help desk is so good. It's one chain of communication. If anyone ever has a question on anything, I know I can go there. I can see why, or what the response to the ticket was. We respond to everything. Tells me how long it took for the response to come in. And like I said, we average 24 hours, which is unheard of in education. The other one, as the hardest thing for me was relationships. I've always been really, really good at IT. Grew up as a network guy, computer guy. I did not have to do the people thing ever. You do not get good at computers by talking to people. You get good at computers by working on computers. So when I used to respond to teachers' emails and they'd ask me an innocent question and I'd send back a technical response, it's true and accurate, but they got upset over it. So I had to realize that there's more to this position than just, being right. It's not the most important.
Yes, it is. It's one.
So I consider that one of the responsibilities. Actually, there's 2 rules for Joe and I. I mean, we run the department pretty tight. Use the help desk. We won't take, again, anything other than the help desk. And we're never rude. Neither one of us will ever be rude to anyone. Doesn't matter how bad of a day. We come in the office with a closed door, venting, discussing problems, with, large language.
Stuff we don't understand.
The second the phone rings and I see it every day, it's amazing for me to joke that he's like a dual personality. He picks up the phone, how can I help you? And he puts a smile on his face. And we know, because one time you can be nice 99 times, but the one time you're rude is the one time to remember. So those 2 rules is what's driven our help desk to be successful and the department to be good. Again, I can answer questions on any of those topics, but we do a lot. It's all time consuming because every one of those things is an hour discussion. I can tell you about updates and I have to read white papers and technical documents and security updates. And every component of everything we run in this district takes attention and time, effort. And I try to make this place as secure as I can, data as secure as possible, explain why we have long passwords, why we had and the other one I want to mention was we have no outages. We usually run all day, every day. I do all my updates at night, weekends. I don't know a lot of the staff faces because I work a lot of nights and a lot of weekends. I don't always come in and meet the face-to-face. I do like the new staff orientation, but after that, they might not see me for 6 months. So trying to keep my toes on top of AV and clocks and testing and bells, and it's a fun job. I love my work. I love what I do. That's basically your IT department. Everything I do comes from the best I can give you guys. I really try my best to learn as much as I can about as much as I can and give the administrative team the best choices I can. If you ever wonder why we don't have 3 bids for everything, I usually give Tom or whoever I'm talking to 3 choices. I do a DIY. I try to piece together some open source piecemeal thing. That's the low budget option. Work with a vendor about getting the hardware in and installing it myself. That's the mid-range option. And just paying to have it done is the 3rd option. Those are my 3 bids. I don't go to 3 different companies because I've already found the hardware that I'm looking for in the 3 bids. So, any questions on kind of what I do or how I bid things out? One thing you might hear from teachers is they'll think I hate one thing or hate another thing. I don't hate Apple, or I don't hate Google, or whatever the companies may be. I truly do find the best product I can find for the best money. I mean, I do a lot of research and spend a lot of time. Anyone that wants to debate me on any piece of technology or software, I'm willing to talk it out. But I really try to find the thing that's going to make the district's life easier for the most cost efficiency. So when you see these next numbers, don't just get all stupid. I put a lot of thought into it. So,
well, one of the things I want to just say, just from my own experience, and as special ed was growing, we'd have these conversations about what we had to have. And what happened is, as in the early days, software was like 90% Apple for special education apps. Now that's not true now, but it was. And he's like, well, and I said, well, this is the only software that'll do that now. And Pat has definitely grown with the whole process. And now there are so many more things. But back when we were starting was small markets, especially in speech and language and working with kids with autism. And we'd go round and round. But Pat was always there to fix the problem, because I know Mary and Kathy King would call him and say, I can't get this to work again. And I have the student sitting in front of me, and they'd get it taken care of.
IEPs and special ed always wins. So I can all the time I want. So when that app comes in that works only on the iPad, you win.
It's that kid's communication device.
Kathy, your iPad's on its way. I think you saw that. There is one in Bruce. So yes, I will concede some points. So if the merit there, I will order the winners.
And Pat and I have had colorful conversations.
Well, we did too, but we got the problems and the issues taken care of.
Colorful conversation with lots of people. So
yeah.
That's nothing new. Right. All right, first project, wireless coverage. It's been something I've been working on for 2 years now. We were slowly converting over from Cisco to Meraki. I could get into some real technical explanations of why, but I'll skip all that until there's actual questions on it. I'm almost there. This is the lowest cost of all the projects. 10 more access points. I think we'll cover the rest of the district. So we'll have the newest wireless protocol, which is Wi-Fi 6 AX, if anyone cares. So we're ahead of the curve. We're at the leading edge of what wireless is possible. So we have the fastest throughput. With this solution, we had to basically drop an access point for every other classroom. So there's a lot of access points compared to like, you used to be able to put in a dozen, 2 dozen to cover the whole high school, middle school. It was wider coverage, but less bandwidth. Now this is higher bandwidth, less access, or more access points. The next generation will probably end up putting an access point per classroom. So just know that's coming down the road. One of my things come up here is the wiring infrastructure, because we've already had to pay to get every other room wired, and the next one will be other room wired.
And he had the early learning center wired by the time we had that thing, because Tom's like, yep, it's here.
Yeah, we were a little nervous about that one sitting personless. So we made sure we got some temperature monitoring there. I put a camera on the door.
Great.
And I actually ended up sending an email to VernonCom. Nice job, guys. They came over and helped me they pulled all the wiring infrastructure out and they left everything dangle. So we were able to, with the help of VernonCom, Joe and I got everything wired in there.
So you're still working with Vernon Communications, even though these changes don't affect that?
No, I know we keep those relationships solid for their internet provider. And even though we don't buy switches for them or access points for them, they're still willing to work with us. But they're one of our best partners. So again, that relationships thing, it goes to vendors, not just teachers. I think I even put it in there that try to keep enough companies that back me up. So if I pass away or you guys fire me because Joe's better than I am, there are companies out there that know this environment, know what they're doing here, and they can walk in and pick up where I left off. I try to keep that up there. This is the big one. This is one of the big ones. Only if E-rate approves it. So we have federal funding we can go for this. It takes care of 70% of that number. Every 7 to 10 years, these switches go obsolete. These are the things that drive everything. Connect your access points, connect your security cameras, connect your computers. This is the framework of a network. We are going to again switch from Cisco again for very technical reasons. You won't get multiple bids from me. I know we have a new policy where you guys are supposed to hear like 3 bids. Once you go to Meraki or Cisco, they give one quote. They'll give the best price to one company, and that's it. Any other company calls up, they'll see that we're listed as a vendor or as the quote from, and they'll say, sorry, we can't bid. So, and I'm not putting in HPs, or I'm not going to go. I mean, I've looked at the other ones. I know what they have. This is the best solution for us. The direction.
I can't believe it's been that long since we purchased those other ones.
There was one switch update in between the ones we did. I appreciate that one, by the way, where you guys gave me the vote. So there was that switch update. We did it all at once, which was nice. That's what you guys decided. Obviously, it's a very big number. So for the last 7 years, we've been doing switches. We started out doing a bigger batch, then every year we did about 2 or 3 switches. So it was a smaller, more approachable. And you'll see a lot of my projects. If you have to look at my long-term budget, I try to front load as much as I can. I don't know what I'll buy in 7 to 10 years, but I know how long I expect equipment to last. So I can tell you that this equipment will last X amount of years, and I roughly know how much it will cost when I replace it. If I see if a budget year gets too expensive, I'll move some stuff around a year or 2, or I'll try to push it a little longer or replace it a little. I'll even replace stuff sooner, but I won't throw it away. Like laptops will come up here. I'll be buying 1/3 of our teacher laptops every year. That doesn't mean the laptops are only lasting 3 years. I just take the oldest of laptops, put them in the hands of students, or put them in classrooms and buckets. I try to make the best use of the equipment we have while keeping a rotation that I can maintain. So I'm front loaded as much as I can for the extra money. Any kind of the funds I can take care of the problems now that aren't going to affect us in the future. Chromebook refresh, 100 Chromebooks coming in. Basically same deal. I'm trying to keep a certain number of Chromebooks in-house working. They do end of life themselves. So the hardware might work, the screens work, the keyboard works, but Google no longer pushes updates to them. They call that end of life, which means there's no security updates. If it's not up to date security-wise, keeping the kids' information safe, I got to get rid of it. So if I keep on 100 Chromebooks every year, and this is basically going to be a yearly ongoing task, that should be all right. Then it keeps us about 700, 800. Not 1-to-1. There's a reason why we're not 1-to-1, because the kids are in band or gym, or there's no reason to have a laptop sitting idle during those hours that they're not using. I'm a big advocate of everything getting used as much as possible. Technology has a shelf life of time, not use. So it doesn't matter how, we didn't use it that much, it doesn't matter. These 4 years that device is in this house is the day I buy it is the day it starts dying. So I don't have to replace things that didn't get used, I'd rather. So I'm trying to keep everything juggling as most efficiently as I can. 35 teacher laptops. This was a cool deal. 56,000 is high. We got this significantly cheaper than I thought. We got a better quote in, so it's actually be less money than we got it for $1,000 a piece, which is unheard of, especially during the COVID supply chain issues. So I'm ordering them now because I got that price. I'll get them beforehand. So hopefully you approve this. That's a culmination. So it's got the stuff I talked about. Plus there's some, we buy Microsoft Windows every year. We buy the other software. Every year I put out an email in January to staff. Anything you want for your classroom, don't care if it's technology related, put it in the new product request. Basically build a spreadsheet up, take it to admin, take it to my IT team. We discuss it. Are these valid projects? Do we want to do this? Is this something we want to keep going? Yes. All right. Approved. No. Denied. So that takes about $25,000 to take care of those requests. I have to say we basically approved 95% of the requests. So I feel real comfortable where we are with the classrooms. We're really taking attention to the projectors, smart boards, or whatever to put in the classrooms. So I got one more slide. You want to know my long-term plans? This is construction and whatever else we want. They're going to be very expensive systems. The PA system is bad. We did it during the last referendum. It did not go well. Short story is it's daisy chain, one speaker after another. We can crank the voltage on one speaker, so the last speaker is really loud, but then the first speaker is unbearable. So bad. If we crank down the first speaker, the last speaker is bad. If we want that speaker to be on middle school, this speaker to be on high school, it's a wiring mess. So the way they did it, just infrastructure-wise, is not salvageable. So we're basically have to run a whole new wire for every PA speaker in this district. And then once that's done, we can say this speaker is high school, middle school announcements. This speaker is middle school announcements. I'm hoping to give the teachers some ability to do their own volume controls, even if we can do like I want to do IP-based so I can do a little bit more control of those things. So it's going to be a very expensive project. That one will go to 3 bids, but it's got to get done. Security for data closets. We do have some shared spaces for where I store that $240,000 hardware where kids have access to, not ideal. So we can lock those rooms down, and we're pretty tight security wise. I do a really good job with network firewalls, security prevention from intrusion detection. We have layer upon layer of stuff topping from ransomware and crypto viruses and stuff like that. But I don't have enough physical control. So if you can come in and plug into one of those switches, that's probably my biggest vulnerability I have right now. So something I want to address. The data 6 wiring. So kind of really long-term planning. If you want me to do anything faster than we're doing now, which we will be doing in the next 10 years, 15 years, we can't do it on our current wiring. And now we're talking every Ethernet jack in every classroom in the district's run on either Cat 5 in this building. We even have some Cat 3 in the elementary from the original building of the construction. So all that wiring infrastructure is good. I'm trying to spend all Mike's money before he even gets it. You see that Escher money, you're like, hey, I got some money. Standardized classroom setups. That's the last thing I'd like as a goal. I'm really trying to nail down every classroom to have a projector, a display device, a tablet or laptop type device, so they can present kind of like a smart board where they can touch the screen, they can hand it to the kids, they can do interactive stuff, but it's more mobile. It's not pegged to the front of the room. The smart boards are just cost prohibitive, and I can dual purpose a laptop or a tablet where they can do multiple things on it and use it as a touch interface and move around the room. And we're close to that goal, but it's something I want to really focus my attention on for the next 3 or 4 years.
We did that at Western. There's a standardized, every classroom has certain things. It took a few years to get there, but it's so worth it. And then everything's on the same cycle too when you have to replace it. And
it helps with the classroom swaps. And this is the seed of the thought is we have teachers that swap rooms constantly. And we have big giant screens mounted to TVs, mounted to the walls that are heavy. And now we put concrete anchors in walls. We have to pull those out or paint over them or and pull extra speaker wire because they want their speaker desk over here. We standardize it. You can move rooms. You still have the same equipment you had. You can build your curriculum around it. You can depend on it. You can expect it. It's a goal I think is worthwhile to pursue. That's me. That's IT.
so you're projecting out how many years?
For which project?
Well, for your presentation that you just gave, that's this year?
So the first 3 slides were this year. So like the laptops, the Chromebooks, and the switches. If E-rate funding is approved, we have to go to bid. And we find out initially if it's approved or denied. If it's approved, we go forward. If it's denied, we got 4 more years to try. So I can try again and again for that E-rate money until we get it. Our infrastructure is not due up this year, but it'll get hairy the year after. So if we don't get E-rate, I can't imagine us not getting E-rate in the next 2 years.
No, and we did get it the last time we did the big
Yeah.
switch project. They tell you about once every 7.
Yeah.
It's about when they.
Oh, when they're ready for it. And we're due up.
Fit.
Yeah. So we should be able to pull that money off without too much of a hitch. And I would like to do it before. I mean, if you hit end of life on the Cisco switches, it's not catastrophic, but it's not somewhere I want to be either. So it's going to time out just about
When do you apply for that?
November.
We actually had a real good conversation last November as to the timing and when we should be looking at it and everything. We do use a consultant for that.
And we even like tried to run by Fairhaven and the other locations and trying to figure out the best way to get infrastructure for those places as well. That I might cycle out some of our stuff over there. Cool.
Any questions for Pat?
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I do want to ask, so you've spoken with Myron and HSR about,
I was at a conference when they did their little
right,
walkthrough. So
you haven't met with them
Not
yet?
Separate meeting, yep. When they came in to speak with the rest of the staff, yeah, Pat was at a conference and presenting
Yes.
about some of the awesome things he's doing.
Okay.
We'll make sure he does.
Yes.
I'm sure that you will.
let's look at that last slide.
That's all you need.
I have been here at least 20 years.
I was thinking.
It was 2001, if y'all saw us do the math.
Wow.
21, there you go.
So yeah, no, it's been a while. My first time speaking in front of the full board, so I appreciate you guys tolerating me.
Well, we want to thank you for all that you do. You have saved our district a tremendous amount of money by your abilities. I know you're giving a lot of accolades to everyone else as well, but thank you for everything that you do. I mean, I know what goes on in other institutions, and we're very fortunate to have you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Everything you do to make our. It's fantastic.
We went on, it was about 20,000, 25,000, have some company come in and do this, but this was like 5,000. I think we did it ourselves, but and thanks Terry and Cody helped with the mounting and all that stuff.
But that's something that's really nice to have in classrooms.
And then that's, I should have mentioned it. So if you want to know what we've done recently, so we've done a lot of video conferencing stuff. So we have a little room over there now that's wired up for IEPs and stuff like that for small group stuff. This room's is done already. And we have the gym or the elementary cafeteria that's due up. And we're going to do that in the next couple of weeks here. So that'll be the large scale meeting space for big projector, big screen, whole new screens getting put in, audio systems.
Very, very nice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for bringing your wife with us. We really appreciate meeting her after all of these years. Thanks for enduring our board meeting. You're obviously a go with the flow person. So thank you. The next item, board report, WASB legislative update. There's some highlights of approved American Rescue Plan Act, Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund, state plan investments related to career and technical education. High school students are gaining new opportunities to participate in career and technical education and prepare for in-demand jobs like teaching as a result of Biden's American Rescue Plan, Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. Which has provided nearly $122 billion to state educational agencies. Local educational agencies have met some urgent needs of the schools for K-12 with COVID-19 pandemic, as we're aware. And so they're trying to give students more hands-on experiences. So that's something that's been positive that's come from the pandemic and some of the negatives. WEAC, which is Wisconsin Education Association package, is it's a package of bills aimed at addressing staffing shortages in the state Wisconsin K-12 system. They're labeling it teaching as a professional package. I'm not sure where it's all going to go, but it's an initiative that's going forward. I also wanted to, I'll go ahead and let Ken then speak. There's a lot of bills that have been going forward, and they haven't necessarily been approved or disapproved, and we just don't really know what's going to happen going forward is basically what I'm getting from all the information that I've been reading. So, but go ahead, Kim, you want to speak to BAM's update?
Yeah, they had their meeting virtually, and my communication with Eric, hopefully the next one they'll be in person, because I think there's more ability when you're in person. But they have developed committees, and then they're going to have a more formal process of the committee meetings and writing of updates for their meetings and stuff, so that they can focus on some of the things that they have control of, curriculum, governance, responsible growth, community partnerships, some of those things. They talked a bit about, and Pat addressed a lot of things in terms of what's happening now with building and so forth. And Aaron did speak to the fact that he got to meet with the person, and somebody else, I can't remember who else he said did, but they discussed with when they were going through the buildings and stuff, they got the chance to give some input. And I did indicate, that we had an open board meeting coming up where we're going through the elementary and a special meeting, and Eric was very interested in possibly coming and looking, because him not being here as much, especially since we really haven't had parents in the building much, he thought he would do that. They talked about an exception to enrollment at the middle school, as some students want to join, and it made sense. They're going to join anyway at 8th grade to transition them while they're in 7th grade. And they have a lot of concerns, and they have a hard time with, I would say, our process taking too long. They like when they're hiring staff, they just want to be able to do it when they need it. And we talked about the process that, they look at everything in the district. They have to look at all the enrollments, and they need all that information. And now I think really Montessori's in pretty good shape for enrollment for next year. That's all on a real, there's just a couple in the waiting area. It's a little smaller at the lower end, but that's pretty typical that as people move into the district, they add more enrollment then. So otherwise it looks pretty good. And I think middle school will have good enrollment, adding the 7th graders going to 8th and then adding those other students. So I think they're starting to see their role as a governance council and stuff. And they talk about, making sure they have open meetings and getting things posted, and they're really working on that. And I know that Beth has been a good help to them when they have questions. Got to do this or got to do that and stuff. So I think things are going pretty good. And the enrollment looks great for Montessori, and we know what the space needs are, so we just need to continue moving forward.
Thank you for attending those meetings as well. I also know that the January Board of Education meeting, if you couldn't attend and wanted the virtual information at the breakout sessions, that has been released.
Yep.
I did view them. I made me feel pretty good about our board and our processes moving forward, because I didn't learn anything from that. And I always find that that's been somewhat refreshing, that I didn't learn anything. I don't know if anyone else watched any of them. The speakers, the presenters were fantastic. I actually asked Tom if it was possible to share those presentations with our staff. I don't know if it was.
Yeah, I haven't heard back yet, but I will double check on that.
Because they're speaking to equity and poverty, and the problem is that every student can and will learn if they have been given the opportunity, not giving up on someone, mentoring someone, as well as finding that one thing that attaches them to their education. And it might be hockey. It might be IT, it might be being in a play, it might be show choir, whatever those things are, is making that connection with the student so they're engaged and want to learn.
Yeah. And if you do only have a limited amount of time watching Brandon Fleming is probably a great place to start. So had an outstanding presentation. And even I think probably can get that feeling virtually just as well as when, you know, in the room, it was awesome. So.
It was very well done virtually. I always like those, but I thought that this one was really exceptional, if possible, to share that message with our staff. Meeting agenda updates. So we've been having workshops just for the update to the community on the first Wednesday of each month. These workshops are focusing on students' educational data, community outreach, and needs assessments. Our consent agenda has expanded to include more routine agenda items. This information is being shared with the board and community, but more items will be voted on in just one motion instead of individually. A board member can request any item in the consent agenda to be removed and voted on individually still if more information is requested. The board has updated the board calendar to make changes on what items will be included in workshops, the consent agenda, informational items, committee meetings, administrative reports, student reports, and teacher and staff presentations. The calendar is a working, breathing document that we are striving to constantly improve upon. There are some items that are state or federal that we have to present a certain way and have to vote on a certain way. So we can't change everything. It depends on what the laws are or what the statutes are. And then there are other items that are flexible. And so we have been able as a board to decide what those items might look like each month on our agenda. And it's been a very good process. And I'd like to thank the board and the administrators for working with us to constantly improve upon the way that we are processing and giving information out to show that our students are being successful and that our staff is being appreciated, hopefully in the way that they should be. And then there is a vote on the first Tuesday of April. There are 4 people, community members running for 2 school board positions. So we hope everyone will vote. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion